Hey guys, so where we left off, the user is able to log in. So on this part of the video, we're going to first let's add a button up here on top real quick. So let's go to our Xcode project in the view pull up here. Selector action. Let's create a function called add clicked. And this is gonna have to be a PC, I believe. And add clicked goes here. And we need to add an image. So let's just go to icons 8. Get an image for the button. Sure, this works. Go ahead and go to your assets, drag in this image. Let's name it plus. And then go to our register. Oh, not register, chat. Go here, name it plus. Let's make sure our button works. We can do that by doing print button clicked. And we should already be logged in because we did that logic before. We're checking to make sure that we have the token already, log us in and take us to the chat VC, which is where we just coded that right now. So let's go ahead and open the simulator. There's our button. It's looking a little funny. It's showing a blue. The action works. Could be with the style. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if there's another type of button for UI bar button item. So can I create one? Let's just title. You know what, title just works for us. So we'll just go ahead and name it, put a little plus sign, plain, self, selector, click, add clicked. Go ahead and delete this one. P. And let's go ahead and test this. And let's see. So there's our plus button. Button works. Sweet. Okay. So we can go ahead and just name this like users. And the idea is we're gonna view all the users. Then we click on one of the users and we can create a chat with them. So that being said, let's open our API because I realized we never did one to see all the users. So we can just create that pretty quick. We can still do it in the chat controller, I guess. What we're gonna do is route middleware it should be off. Same one as this one. That way we're using a token. And then it's going to be a get. I'm going to say users. And I guess we'll code it inside the authentication. I don't want to create a new controller just for one function. So get users. Put a lot of comments saying get all users. You know, actually I changed my mind. Let's do it here. And okay, so get all users. And let's go inside here. Inside of here, we will create a function, public function get users. I'm going to add the request. That way I can get my own token, my own user. Request. And now that I'm here, okay, we can start coding this. And the idea is I'm going to get every user, not including myself. So I think I can easily do that just by saying users. I mean, I could just, fine. So where ID, comma, is not equal to, comma, and then my ID, which would be request user ID. And then here we can say get all users. Looks good to me. The next step is to go ahead and test this. So I'm going to go ahead and drag in Postman. And let's go to our chat. Let's grab one of these. This should still work. Authentication middleware. I probably have a typo somewhere. So let's go to our API. Yep, I spelled the middleware wrong. These old should still work. Yep. If I say / users, gives me all of them but the ID of one, which is me. Sweet. Okay. So now that API works, we can go ahead and start using it. I'm going to put Postman to the side, and we don't need to look at our Laravel anymore. Let's go into our API, and I see that we created most of the APIs. Let's go ahead and add one more. That's going to be to get all our users. So let's go here, call it get users. I don't have to pass an ID. And the URL is simply going to be get users. And there you have it. So we have the API added. We can go ahead now and start using it. So here, what we want to do is let's go ahead and create another screen quickly. So we have our register. Let me go ahead and name this one. So this one's going to be our chat screen. I can delete this title, we're not using it. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. Change the ID. This one's going to be our users VC. Gonna go ahead and make this a bit neater for a second. So let's just do off, add that there. Chat, add that there. Users, and create a user VC. Users VC. And let's go ahead and attach this now. So let's go here. Let's go ahead and attach it. So users VC, copy that name, make sure it's spelled the same down here. And then down here in the chat VC, when you click the button, we're going to say self dot, oh, there we go, storyboard, initialize view. We named it chat users as user VC. And we're going to do self dot navigation controller dot push view. We're going to push this view and animate equals true. This needs to be forcing it. Okay, that looks good. We can go ahead and test this. Go to users. There's the other screen. Sweet. Okay, so we can now go ahead and start coding this other screen. So let's go ahead and do that. So in this screen, I'm going to go ahead and just quickly name it users. Gonna quickly just design this thing. We'll just use a basic one, actually. That's fine. We'll put the person's name there, which we do get from Postman, right? Yep, we do get it from Postman. So inside the users, what we want to do is get all the users in the beginning. So we're gonna create an API called getData. A function. Let's go ahead and create it down here. So function getData. We're gonna have to create a variable called let API equals API. And we're also going to have to, all right guys, so I'm gonna leave this link in the description. This is where it can turn JSON into a model. So I'm gonna quickly just drag our users JSON into here that we get from Postman. And it generates a nice model for us. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. I'm gonna create a new folder in here. Oh, that's a new file. We want a new folder. So new group, call it models. And the name of our model is gonna be user. User. Oh, I named that as a. Let's delete that. New file, empty file. Just name it user. And I'm gonna go ahead and drag that code that we just got. Everything looks good. And we're just gonna name this user. Cannot have a valid type. That's because this was left nil. We're actually not gonna use the email validation, so we can go ahead and just delete that field. Let's just go ahead and delete it from everywhere that it generated. And we're good to go. We can now use this model. This model is super easy to use. The way we use it is, well, it says we have 2 errors. So I thought I deleted that. Okay, so there we go. And the way that we use this is we go inside our controller users, and in here when we do the API call, so API dot get users, and we say the type is JSON. We're going to import Swifty JSON, and then we're going to say that the response that we want, right, it's going to be let users equal, as type user, which is a model we just created, and then we're just going to initialize this array. So user and then here we're just going to do a for loop. So for key sub JSON in the JSON. So because the reason why we're doing a for loop is because if you look at this JSON, it comes in a list. So we want a for loop through each. And what we're going to do for each is just, we're going to say let user equal user.init from JSON, and the JSON is the sub JSON every time it loops. And we're just going to add that into our users. So we're going to say self.users.append and say user. We can fix that, making that var correct. This should not be good. Everything looks good. We're not using the key, so it's going to tell us to add it underscore. That's fine. And this gets us all our users. Now what we want to do next is, after we get all the users, is refresh the table. So refresh the table. Now to do this, so go ahead and copy that in. And here we're going to say self.tableview.reload data. So once we get all the data, go back to the main queue and refresh the table. And then now we can start coding the actual table. So numbers of section is 1, number of rows in a section will be the number of users. So .count. And here's where we can design our cell. If we go back to the main storyboard, we have to give our cell an identifier. So let's go ahead and click on the cell, go to this tab right here, reusable identifier. I'm just going to name it cell. Go back here, give this one cell, and then we can get the current user based on the index that we're in. So we're going to say self.users index path.row, and then we can just add the text label text and change the text to user dot, and because we created a model, we have all the fields from the database, so we can just say .name, and that should work. We should see all the users except ourselves. Let's go ahead and run this here, users, and okay, so it says connection refused. So I think I'm just gonna need to reinitialize it. API with the token, and that's going to be the token that I get, and I'm going to just copy the code from the scene delegate. So right here, paste that right here, and what just happened? My Xcode just decided to crash. Hopefully that's saved. Let's save. Okay, so back to users. Okay, did save. Go ahead and just force that. And that all looks good now, right? And that needs to be a var because I'm editing it. And it looks good. Now, next time it makes the API call, it'll have the API token in the header, which should get rid of that error. So it runs, users, and now we have Bob and Tess and the JSON displayed here. Sweet. I'm gonna go ahead and comment out that JSON. We really don't need that, but we get our users. So the next thing to do is to, when we click on Bob or Tess, is to see if we have a chat with them already, which our code already does that. So what we want to do is simply, if we look at our Laravel and we go to creating a chat, it's gonna actually check if we have a chat with that person already, and if we do, it creates it. I mean, if we do, it just returns it, and if we don't have one, then it goes ahead and creates that chat. So the way we did this is pretty neat, because now we can just simply create a chat even though we already have one, and it won't really create one. So that being said, let's go to not edit row. We don't really care about editing it, but we want to, nope, not this one. There should be a did select. Oh, either way, I'll just type it. Did select row app. Okay. So what we want to do is when we select the row, go ahead and display. Do we have alerts too? I think we have alerts somewhere here. Print. We're just printing it out. Okay. So yeah, so what we want to do is when we select one of the roles, we're going to create a chat. Simple enough. Let's get the current user that we're clicking on. So user index path.row, and then API create chat with the parameters that it needs. Json, and the parameters that it needs. Let's go ahead and look at Postman. This is why we added everything to Postman. It's super easy for us to just go here, create a chat, body, and that's actually sending a message in chat, body. We just need the other person's user ID. Sweet. It's super easy for us to do. Again, you can just go user ID, and say user.id. There we go. If we go ahead and print this JSON, let's see what happens. So it cannot convert it into a string. Is that because I'm telling it in the API that has to be string? I mean, that's honestly fine. I can just go ahead and put this in a string. Laravel will go ahead and parse that for us either way. Am I not typing this right? I think I might have deleted something. There we go. All looks good now. We can go ahead and test this. So go to users. Let's just create a chat with Bob. Okay, we have some sort of error. Let's see what the error is. So argument 2 passed to between must be an instance of model. Null was given. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually test this here. If I say user ID, it does return me it. It looks like user ID. Let's go ahead and see what's happening here. User ID, and then I find that user based on user ID. Okay, so we're gonna quickly just comment this out, and let's just print that we actually are getting the user ID from the model. Make sure it's actually parsing it. So just a little bit of debugging here, guys. So users to, okay, so the problem was that it was adding the optional stuff to it. Okay, now we know. Simple enough. We can go ahead and uncomment this and just force it. Simple as that. That should now work. So if we go to users, Bob, there we go. Here's just saying that, you know, ID 1. And there we go. So now we have the ability to add chats. The last thing we're going to do here is to view our chats here. Super easy enough for us to do that. Let's go ahead and go to our chat VC, and to display all our chats, it looks like we have a simple API, which let's just go to our API wrapper over here, and we have get chats. Okay, so we could just call this. Before we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and create those models for us. So this one's gonna be a bit harder because there's so many pieces to this data. And let's just see how the website breaks this down for us. Let's go ahead and go here, go to the website, and fill that in with data. It'll be a lot easier. So getting a chat, this will be sending a message. This one's sending a message in the chat. So we do have a chat 1, so let's go ahead and just send something there. Awesome. Now when we get, let's get the chats. I'm gonna go ahead and put that back in the site because now it's gonna have stuff on the data. So let's go back. Let's go back to the site. And okay. Now let's click download all. Keep open. All right, so now let's go ahead and paste that here. Should have a little bit less of those null objects. Still 11. Let's check them out. So conversation, data, integer. Okay, so that data should have stuff in it now, no? So conversation. This is 2, let's look at it 1. Let's just go to a JSON viewer. Paste this here, click view, conversation, data, data's empty, the people. Yep. So this is where the people are, and this is the other person. Messageable with his name. Okay, perfect. So this is what we want. This, so everything inside conversation we want, and the ID of the chat is what we want. Everything else doesn't really matter. So that being said, let's go to here and delete stuff that we don't really care about, right? So if data is giving us a problem, we really don't care about it. And this we do care about. And it's giving us a small problem. Let's check out why. So let's read it. So it says, since it's an array, let's go ahead and see where that is again. So that isn't, okay, so this isn't conversation. So for each person, this should be from this, just a little typo. These functions we don't really care about. Tried to see what it was trying to do here. So, oh, it was going to add it to this. So there we go. That looks good now. Yep, that all looks good. Data array, like I said, we really don't care about data. So that one is all good. Let's go ahead and fix this one. So settings, we're not really using settings. Gonna go ahead and delete this junk. We're not really using any of that. We're just using this init function really. Okay, so it looks like you have to keep those. If not, it starts, well, we could just make it an empty class. Problem solve. Last message, deleted at is null. This, I thought I just deleted that. For messageable, it's asking for, okay, so this is going to be this array right here, this JSON, and we're adding the array here. Value is going to be this. Oh, wrong array. It's gonna be that. All looks good. Email verify, that's no, we're not using that. Let's go to messageable. So, oh, this has to do with the dictionary stuff that we just deleted, which we're not using. Last message. Again, this is all that dictionary stuff that we're not really using. We should go ahead and delete this. Let's see what else. Settings can go. We're not using it. I'll go ahead again and delete all of that. Delete that. Let's go ahead and just build it to see what other errors we're just missing. So it seems like everywhere we're having this small error. I'm gonna fix all these classes and put them in the description below so you guys can just download the right classes. And in here, messageable. So this is that stuff that we just deleted. And last one that we need to fix. So this has to do with the extra stuff again. Okay, so now that we have all our models there made for us, let's go into our chat VC. We can now use the API. We're gonna go ahead and in here, again, we're gonna just do a get data function. We're gonna say get data. And we need to also do that var API as API equals API. And here we'll just say API. I'm gonna go ahead and just copy it from this screen, which should be right here. Went ahead and copied it. And in here, we just want to say API dot get chats. Let's go ahead and import JSON, Swifty JSON. Import Swifty JSON. And everything looks good so far. We're gonna need an array to hold all of our chats. So var chats is gonna be an array of type chat equals array chat. And we're just initializing it. And here we're gonna loop through them. We're not gonna be using the key. We are gonna be using the sub JSON in the overall JSON. And it's actually not in the overall JSON because remember it's this page. We want to go inside data. So what we're gonna do is say data. So JSON inside the data, and then in here it's as simple as self.chats append. We can append that new chat, so chat init from JSON, sub JSON, and there we go. Next thing we do is that dispatch main. I don't know. Let me just get it from here. Here it is. Dispatch main queue. Let's just clean this up a bit. Everything looks good. It's going to be one section. Number of rows will be self.chats .count. Delete all of this. Self for index. I'm going to say cell equals self.tableview dot dq dot dq We're gonna name it cell. The index will be index path. We're gonna return this cell. And we're gonna go ahead and go to the storyboard and just name this cell real quick. And we're gonna use a sub and title. So the title will be maybe the latest message, or I guess the subtitle will be the latest message, and the title will be the other person. So you can go here. First thing we need to do is get the chat. So let chat equals self.chats at that index. And before we code the cell, let's just go ahead and test that everything's working. So what I'm going to do is in the cell, we're just going to say text label.text equals chat ID. We'll just display the chat IDs. I mean, we should get 1 and 2. We need to make this a string, because that is an integer. So we're just going to test that everything is working the way it's supposed to. So 1 and 2, yep, those are our 2 chat IDs. And now let's just quickly think about how we're going to display the first name, the latest message. So if we go inside one of these, let's go ahead and just view it in here. So this is one chat. So if we look at here, there's one called latest message. So latest message, and then it's the body. So let's go ahead and do that first. So we'll go here and let's go to our cell. If this is not equal to null, then we do this. If not, we don't have to display any message. No. Okay, so it looks like, well, unwrapping and optional. There we go. So I just have to make it an and statement. So there's our latest message. Now to get the user, this is the part that's going to be a bit more challenging. The reason why I say that is we don't know which person is who. So if we go back here, inside the conversations, we have this, right, which tells us every single person, but we don't know which one we are, right? We just have our authentication token, but we do have one URL that can get us our current user, which we're just going to use that. So we can easily just do that. If we go to our Laravel project and we go into our API, this right here will give us the current user that we're logged in as. It's as simple as just calling user. So we're going to go ahead and just use that in our Laravel project. We're going to name it get user. So same thing as this one. We're just going to say get user. And we're going to test that in the chat. So before getting data, we're just going to get our current user. So API.get user Json, and here's where we can, let's just print this out so we can see what the response is. The response should look exactly like our user model. These are the chats. Nope. Let's comment some stuff. And I also get user, I forgot to change that here. So our API was right, okay. Let's go ahead and test this. Okay, we're getting some sort of error. I forgot to add this. Now it should work. So I'm gonna go ahead and go here. And there we go, we have our user. Sweet. So the next thing, let's just get this working so I can end this video. I think it's pretty long already. Sorry about that, guys. And I'm gonna try to edit it and make it shorter. So let's go to our chats. We get the user. We're gonna go ahead and create a user model, doing a user variable. So user, which is gonna be type user. And this is gonna be our user. So, and then what we're gonna do is in here, we will say self.user equals user dot initialize from Json, and we're gonna initialize this user. There we go. So we get the user, refresh the table, and the next thing is displaying that other text. We're only going to do this if user is not equal to no, because when the app first loads, that table is going to try to load, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So if self, because our user is not initialized until that API call runs, right? So self.user is not equal to no. So we have the user. So we have our own user now. So if we look at here, we want to go inside of here and see which one of these is not equal to our ID. So easy enough, we can go ahead and do a for loop. So for person in self dot not self but chat dot conversation dot, so for each person, what we're going to do is if the person dot ID should be the ID, right, that matches. So we could just confirm that ID 1 2 2, yeah. I'm just going to use messageable ID. That seems more reliable. So messageable ID is not equal to self.user.id, and we found the other person. Once we have the other person, we can just say cell.text label dot text equals person dot messageable dot name. Oh, I think it's because I was replacing it. So let's see, and Bob and Tess, sweet. So there are two chats. This video took super long. Sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna try to edit it. There we go. We can see all our users, Bob, and we created these two chats. This shows up a subtitle. We can go ahead and just change that. We can go here to our subtitle and just say no last message. And now if there is no last message, it's rather than saying subtitle, we'll just say no last message. So there we go. We have the person and what's going on, no last message, our users, everything seems to be working. I'm gonna go ahead and push this to GitHub just so you guys can grab the models. Sorry for the super long video again. Hope you guys enjoy this. I like doing these live coding a lot better because you get to see the mistakes a lot more. But let me know what you guys think. And if you guys rather me, do a voiceover rather than live coding, let me know. I'll go ahead and change the style of the videos. Yep, don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. I'm Mackenzie Alvarez with 2 Z's. All the links are down below. And have a nice day, guys. Catch you guys on the next one.